Hello and welcome to another session of Mindful Data Mine. In today's session, we will be discussing about a commonly used procedure for analyzing data. The procedure name is Proc Means. This is used to calculate descriptive statistics like mean, median, count, sum, etc. and is also used to calculate few other matrices such as percentile, quartile, standard deviation, variance, and sample t-test. So without wasting any further time, let's begin with the practical. So I'll start with the general syntax of proc means. So proc means generally start like this. Proc means data equals to, then we need to write data set name. Then we have by statement, class statement, where statement available. We also have output statement, and in the end we have run. So these are all optional item. Okay, and we will talk about this one by one. Okay, so the general syntax of proc means is proc followed by means, and then in the data equals to option we need to pass the dataset name. So here I'll use SAS help dot cars dataset, and I'll just use run here. Now when we use proc means like this, so basically proc means deal with all the numeric variable. So these are the numeric variables available in sashelp.cars dataset, and against all those numeric variables, what are the number of observations, means, standard deviation, minimum value, and maximum value. These are the five statistics which are provided by proc means in case if we do not use anything. By anything, I mean those statements. Okay, now let's assume we are getting all the variables by default here, numeric variables, and I'm only interested in these three variables. Okay, so for that what I can do is I can simply what I can do is I can simply copy this, and here I'll use where statement. In the where statement I'll have to pass the variable names. Okay, so these are my variable names which I have want to check statistics for, and in the end I'll use semicolon. Now when I'll run this using where statement, I'll get only these three variables. Earlier we are getting all the variables, all the numeric variables, but now we are only getting these three variables. Now in case I have a requirement that I only want to see n, that is number of observation and mean, so for that what we can do is I can simply write it here, n mean. Okay, so when I'll run this time I should be only able to see n and mean. Okay, now suppose we have a requirement. So what I'll do is I'll quickly create a new data set A, in which I'll use SAS help, or rather what I'll do is I'll use proc sort, because this would be required in future as well. So proc sort SAS help dot cars, and I'll create a new data set A, in which I'll sort the data by origin. Okay, now when I'll run this, I should get the data sorted by origin. Now if I want to classify my data based on origin, for that purpose I can either use class or by statement. So when we use class, okay, so suppose we have the requirement, same requirement, but we want to classify it by origin. So when I use class statement and I put origin here, okay, then in that case, we will get the statistics by origin like this. In Asia, we have 158 observations, and these are the MSRP detail, MSRP invoice and engine size. Okay, but if I try to use the same code for by statement, okay, if I use by here and run this, you will see we get an error and it says SAS-help.cars is not sorted in ascending sequence. Okay, that's the reason I use proc sort here. Now instead of this, I'll use A here. Now, because my data is sorted by origin, now I'll run this. The dataset will run fine and we'll get the result. Okay, now you see we are getting the data, like we are getting three different tables. When we are using class, we are getting the entire data in one particular table. Okay, but when we use by, we are getting data by origin table. Like the table, we are getting now three tables instead of one, and each table represents its origin. So for Asia, this is the number of observations and mean. For Europe, these are the number of observation and means. Similarly for US, this is the number of observation and means. Okay, so this is the difference between class and by statement. So for by statement, the data should be sorted, whereas for class, this is not required. In case of by statement, we will get the result in different tables, whereas in case of or class, we'll get in the same table. Okay, now suppose we have a requirement that okay, we do not want to see it in the results, but instead what we need is we need to get the output as a data set. Okay, so what we should do in that case, output statement comes into handy. So I'll copy both of these code and I'll use output statement. Output out equals to, let's say I'll give this name as cars underscore class, and I'll copy the same thing here as well. Cars underscore by. Okay, now in SAS we have the option to pass the parameters or pass the statistics which we want to see in the output. So for instance, in the results tab, I'm only able to see n, that is number of observation and means. But in the output, I want to see n. I want to see mean, median, min, and max. So in that case, I can pass it like this. And here I'll use an option known as auto name. Auto name, what it will do is, because we have these three variables, so there would be a number of observation for MSRP, for invoice also, for engine size also. That's why I want them all to be auto named, and that's why I've used auto name feature. Okay, now I'll copy the same thing here as well, and I'll run the two data steps, sorry, proc step. Okay, now our data set is finally created. If you see cards underscore class, we are getting underscore type underscore, in which we are getting 0, 1, 2 values. For zeroth, it means that it is counting all the variables and the data is when we used it first time here. In this case, we are getting it at that level. That means it has not been segregated by origin on 0th level, and in 1th level it has been segregated by origin, and we are getting MSRP n, invoice n, engine size n, then means, median, min, max. If I go to cards underscore by, then we are not getting the 0th thing like we are getting it in the cards underscore class. Okay, we are simply getting only origin, like there is only one underscore type underscore, okay, which segregates by origin only. So that is the third difference between the two. When we use by variable, sorry, by statement, it will just give us for that particular variable, it will give output for that particular variable for which we have asked. But in case of class, it will give us detail based at a overall level, then by class. Okay, and here also we will get mean, median, min, max, the value which we have asked for. So this is how we can use proc means in SAS. There are other options also available in proc means. I would request you to kindly go through SAS website for all the particular options and what are the available options in proc means and what are their uses. Please let me know in comments if you have any confusion or any questions related to proc means, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.